Did you call bank? I call game.
What's up, Pack Nation? It is Pack here. We actually got some NBA 2K20 news. Every single year, the MyGM and MyLEAGUE team of 2K release like a forum or a post explaining all the details they've changed for NBA 2K20 in MyGM and also MyLEAGUE. MyLEAGUE is considered probably the best game mode of 2K. It is the most perfect, well thought out, and genuine game mode of the 2K franchise. It's always been successful and good, and then they've been really focusing on MyGM to make it even better than it is right now. MyGM is like the story mode basically of MyLEAGUE, and they worked on that. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, the 5 major changes they added for those game modes. Before this video starts, be an OG, join the Pack Nation, and subscribe. Also, a reminder is that I'm giving away 5 copies of NBA 2K20, and if you want to win one, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram, and you will be entered in a randomizer, and you could win one of them for free. So get on that. It can be for any system you want, either PC, Switch, Xbox One, or PS4. And the giveaway is going to end when NBA 2K20 releases, so make sure you're checking your DMs to make sure you won at that time. Now let's get this list started, and we're going to start at number 5. Starting at number 5 is brand new badges. It's been a while since we've gotten brand new badges in 2K, and even though they're not specifically skill-based badges, they are personality ones. The first one is the Media Ring Master. This is a player that thrives in front of the cameras and prefers to play in big markets. Pretty straightforward. You should expect players with this badge to be more likely to sign with big market teams. Players like this are going to want to sign with like the Lakers or the Knicks. They're pretty like savvy in front of the camera. They're like big shots, like everybody likes them, and they want to play for big teams like the Knicks or Lakers. You can expect these players maybe want to ask for trades or leave the team that they're currently on just so they can go to big market teams like that. The other badge is the Warm Weather Fan, which is kind of funny to me. But these are for the beachgoers who would much rather play in the warm temperature climates and avoid the really cold home teams. Players who probably want to play near the coast like Miami versus someone who wants to play in Minnesota, right? And finally, it's Finance Savvy. These are players that factor in the tax rate and where they want to go in the hopes of making the most out of their money. Players that want most money as possible. I thought of Carmelo Anthony. Players like DeMarcus who don't have this badge are willing to take less money to go to a better team, right? The next thing at number 4 is the point system. I'm gonna read a little bit of what it says about the brand new point system. Every day you play in MyGM, you're going to have to make a conscious choice for what's the best thing to do to help turn your team into a winner. Do you want to spend time trying to make the team better via trade, or do you want to spend time having chit chats with the players, staff, or other GMs? Do you want to take control of the team directly and play a game with the controller? Now, all of the core actions will now take an AP, causing you to make meaningful choices about now the best and most efficient way is to build a winning team. So now, from now on, you get points, and those points will be directed into something we'll talk about in a second. But the point system is the most important part of MyGM. Points are everything. They're going to help you do anything when it comes to trading players, upgrading your players, changing locations. Everything is going to require a point system. Another thing to say is the hope is that moving things over to the AP system will help drive the decision making and relationships to offer GMs a different path to carve out their legacy in the NBA. Players that feel confident the path to victory is to control the team from the sidelines can play games to get an edge, or the analytic gurus can constantly churn trade assets to try and build a monster out of a rebuilding team. Different difficulties will offer different amounts of AP per day, so all fans can feel the thrill of making decision makings seem fun rather than stifling. So I guess what this does is kind of adds replay value. As a GM, you can go different routes with different game modes, and the harder it is, the funner it can be. Like, I understand what they're doing, but my little worry about this is VC. I have a gut feeling they're going to make points really hard to get, which will limit you on how you can play the game, because before GM you could do whatever you wanted however you wanted. Now everything's focused on the points. You can't make actions without the points, which means you could probably buy points with VC, which means this is just another route for them to steal money from us and force us to pay for this game that we already bought. That's just an opinion though. We'll see if that really happens. The next thing at number 3 is that anybody can now give goals or tasks. So before, when you played MyGM, the governor, or back then the owner, was able to give you tasks and you had to complete those tasks to make the owner happy. But now everybody in the organization can give a task. The governor staff members, and even players. This is echoing the pressure of the real-life general managers. Sometimes the request will not necessarily be for the best interest of the team. You shouldn't be able to just turn on the autopilot and complete all goals as delivered. You will have to use a discerning eye to figure out which goals actively help the team, which ones are suboptimal but worth the relationship boost for completing, and which ones you'll simply have to salvage. For example, players that want more minutes could be a goal, right? For maybe a player who's on the bench and is like, I want more minutes or I'm leaving, that's a goal. Maybe your scout is pressuring you that they want you to pick a specific player in the draft because they believe it's worth it or they're gonna leave, stuff like that. It's relationship building. Maybe your best player is like, I want all these things, like Kawhi Leonard, for example. He wants all these specific things, and you have to either accept it and complete the task, or you can ignore him and threat losing him, right? So that's part of the goal system. I think it's actually a really good idea in my opinion that everybody can now give goals. It creates relationships with everybody throughout the team, and I'm actually excited about that. That's one of the best things I think they added. At number 2, it is the skill tree. So the skill tree is what you're going to be using your points for. You can put points into the skill tree in 5 different places. The first place is the leadership place. The more points you put into leadership, the more skills you'll get through the leadership part, right? It says leadership is a man of the locker room. A leader-focused GM is better able to build the trust of those around them, gain boosts for playing games, and lower trust lost in press conferences. So I see that being pretty helpful. Again, when you're playing games, like if you actually play the games of MyGM, this is like the way to go. You're going to want the leadership one. Also, if you're doing bad things in press conferences, like saying dumb stuff, that's not going to help. Also, if you're building trust around your team, that's going to help people want to stay and believe in the system. I believe this is like the Spurs, for example. The next one is diplomacy. Now, this one is when you have a way with words. A diplomatic GM can build trust by having chit-chats with several different groups, can help improve revenue by help signing big name free agents, kind of like how the Clippers are doing. Because of how cool they are and how like they've been working really hard and making the team really good, they've been attracting free agents, and they're an attractive franchise because it's LA. That kind of makes sense to me. If you want really big free agents like LeBron or KD, you're going to want to go the diplomatic route. The next one is insight, a deep sense of understanding. An insightful GM can understand what affects the mood and trust of those around him, access the trade finder, or improve scouting. So if you want to basically rebuild a team, this is kind of the way to go. With Trade Finder, you can find better trades to help your team improve scouting, which means you can get the most out of the NBA draft. He can also understand the mood and trust of everyone around him. I think this is the way to go if you want to like really rebuild and make it work out really well. The next one is finance. An eye for the bottom line. A financial GM can improve revenue, sign players for less money, and gain additional sponsorship slots. This one isn't as important. Maybe sign players for less. I guess that one kind of makes sense. But at the end of the day, you're going to want those max players, and those max players are not going to sign for less, right? Unless you're like DeMarcus Cousins. And then finally is facilities. A man with a plan. A facility-oriented GM can choose from a specialty facility for a permanent boost of 1 to 5 areas. Can help boost players on game days or turn high attendance into improved relations with sponsors. Helping players get boosted is pretty important in my opinion, and also getting a lot more sponsors is also important in my opinion, so I guess that works. But I think there's other ones that are also more important. But that is the skill tree. 5 different routes you can go that are all going to help you build your team as best possible. And then finally is leaderboards, the most important thing they added in MyGM and MyLEAGUE. So every time you take the helm of a new franchise, you're going to have to pick a difficulty from easy, medium, or hard. The harder the difficulty, the longer the scoring period is, and the fewer AP you're going to get every single day. Generally, most of the actions you take will fall under 2 categories. The things you help improve with your team, you earn experience, and the things that help you show off powers as a GM will earn you the score. With the leaderboards, you'll be able to see how your team is faring against everyone else in the same difficulty and judge them against the greatest of all time, or just filter it by the month, or even down to just your friends, right? You can rep your favorite team to get them to the top of the leaderboards, or you can be strategic about it and go, okay, I know this team is going to get me the most points, I'm going to use them, right? Maybe like the Warriors. Depending on the difficulty, you're going to have a set amount of years to try to increase your score. For example, easy, you only get 5 years, but hard, you get 15 whole years. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Those people who are playing MyGM and MyLEAGUE are now going to have some kind of online aspect to try to be the best in the world at. I think that's a good addition to NBA 2K19 because, again, I feel like they didn't mess up MyLEAGUE or MyGM at all, and they added something that's going to make you incentively want to try as hard as possible to get the highest score possible and try to be the best in the world at MyLEAGUE. And I think that's pretty cool. That is it for this video, you guys. Which specific thing they added are you excited about for MyGM and MyLEAGUE? Leave it in the comments below. If you like my channel, give it a sub, and I'll see you guys next time.
Did you call back?